So, one of the themes of our era is the rapid pace of change. Because everyone has this sense that things are just happening faster than they used to. So, when you look at the electric cooperatives, I mean, is that the world that they're in, or things moving at a more steady pace?
That's a great question. And the pace is moving faster, but not just in our industry. It seems the whole country is moving a lot faster these days in everything, in every aspect. But electric cooperatives are no different than that. And in fact, they might be changing faster for electric cooperatives and moving at a faster pace for electric cooperatives than for other types of utilities, because we have such a direct link to our consumers, which is one of the big strengths of cooperatives. I mentioned we serve 1.7 million people, electricity. Quite honestly, all 1.7 million people can reach me, and it's real-time feedback on everything that we do. And we have continual interaction with our board of directors, with our member CEOs. This is annual meeting season, by the way, for us. So you saw that map with the 28 distribution systems up there.
So you're going around?
Each one of them has an annual meeting, and then, of course, Great River Energy has its own annual meeting, and some of our subsidiary businesses have annual meetings. We have a lot of annual meetings. And I get a chance in rooms like this to sit down and chat with people, and they tell me in real time the changes that they want to see. So I'm very proud of the fact that our distribution systems, the 28 distribution systems that we serve, are probably among the most progressive entrepreneurial distribution systems in the country. They really are. They do amazing things, and a lot of the inspiration we get at the G&T comes from the member systems. If they weren't supportive of the things that we are doing, we wouldn't be doing nearly the amount of things that we are.
Okay, so when you're having these meetings, you're having these conversations, I mean, what is the change that they want? What is the message that, what's at the top of the list? I mean, everyone's got a list of what they want.
Free electricity.
Well,
that's it.
Okay.
Free electricity. And short of that.
I was just going to say.
Short of that. So everything we do disappoints them on some level. But what they want, and it's kind of an interesting discussion about a decade ago, where we were a bit snarky and said to the members, do you want clean power or do you want cheap power? And they said, both. And it was a real wake-up call to us that we had better figure out ways to think differently about our business.
And you chose this career. I mean, this was a career.
I backed into this career. I backed into this career very happily, but I backed into it. I wrote a law review article that happened to be on an oil and gas law case in North Dakota. And I almost chose a divorce case, which was much sexier than the oil and gas case. And had I written the case comment on the divorce case, I would have been a family lawyer in Wahpeton today. I probably wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing today, but I do love it. And
you're able to work on both.
We are able to do it on both. I think one of the challenges I think all utilities have, and again, I had great conversations before we came downstairs with some of my fellow utilities about sort of the changes that we're all going through right now. You kind of buckle in and you have to do it, and you really have to figure out, if we don't meet the needs of our consumers, somebody else will figure it out. And we know that Google, we know that Microsoft, we know that Walmart, we know that Costco are getting into our businesses in different ways.
Yeah.
And they should get into our business if we're not giving our members what they want. And so it's been somewhat of a challenge to meet all of the requirements that our members have, but we have to start yesterday on this stuff. Luckily, we have a long enough runway. At Great River Energy, we made some decisions a few years back before anybody was making these decisions. The decision to accelerate our coal plants, by the way, in 2013 was newsworthy, and I got really some nasty phone calls and emails from some of my counterparts out there about that decision. And yet, we're so thankful that we made that decision, because as painful as shutting down Stanton Station was last year, we had already had 4 years of accelerated depreciation on that plant. So the stranded investment wasn't nearly as painful as it would have been had we not done that.
So one of the things, during your presentation, I was thinking, and all the things that you're doing and being a cooperative structure, how capital constrained are you? And you mentioned, Walmart and Google. I mean, these are some shareholder firms that aren't even your business, but they have access to quite a bit of money. So how does the capital fit in?
Right. So we're not really capital constrained. We're Thank goodness we're an A-rated utility, which gives us great access to the markets.
Right.
In fact, the capital markets are a bit upset with all cooperatives right now because we don't borrow enough. They would like to lend us more money, and we're cheap. So we tend not to borrow a lot of capital. So that's really not an issue. But as far as comparing balance sheets, we're a small to mid-sized utility that does business really exclusively in Minnesota. We can't touch a Walmart. We can't touch a Costco. We can't touch some of these other players, Google, that are getting into our business space. But what we have, and hopefully we'll hear it from the panelists later on, we have a connection with our membership, a direct relationship with the membership. And I think in our business, maybe more so than other structures, relationships are everything. We don't all get along. We don't all agree on everything all the time. And we have some pretty heated discussions. Those meetings we have every 2 weeks can get quite heated. But at the end of the day, we all know that we're in this together. We know that what we are working for is the end-use consumer. And everybody gets that. And by the way, these are consumers that just over 80 years ago had to pony up their own money to start their own utility. And they're fiercely independent, but they're also demanding on us. And so it's the relationship that we have with the consumers that I think are going to bode well for us as this competition comes in.
And so if we're looking down, so, the next 5 years, 10 years, what are the opportunities that are exciting you? I mean, where are the opportunities you'd like to seize?
So that's a great question. And I think you heard some of them tonight. The electrification of the economy. We've just gone through a period, and of course this audience will know this better than most. We've just gone through a period where the concept of building load or advocating consumers using more electricity was sacrilege. But the reality is it's a very benign energy source. It's a good choice for a lot of applications. And so this resurgence of looking for efficient ways to use our product, to sell additional product, that has me excited. The thing that has me excited as well is we have a very enlightened membership, and our customer base kind of gets what's happening in our industry and supports what we're doing. And this moment of clarity that we've really reached as a utility, that look, renewables is really the new baseload. We've been coal for so long. Renewables is quickly becoming the new baseload, and that concept is not foreign to our customers, to our board of directors, to our member CEOs. They've all embraced it, and because we have this collective embracing of the reality. The toughest part about this job is seeing the world as it is and not as you want it to be. And I think our membership is really seeing the world as it is.
So seeing the world as it is, what are you really worried about?
So this may sound old school, but I don't worry about anything really business related at all. The trends, the changes in our industry, they're just business issues. We can fix that. Safety is the thing. I've had this job almost 13 years, and I can tell you I have lost more sleep over large projects, construction projects that we have going on at Coal Creek Station or other power plants, more so than anything else. We all look at utilities from maybe one-dimensionally, depending on your perspective. Environmental groups look at our progress with renewables, and the financial community looks at our balance sheet, and people look at us one-dimensionally. I look at it from a lot of different angles. And the thing we can't forget, and the thing we should all appreciate, is ours is a very dangerous business. And I'm very proud of our safety record, by the way. It's very, very good, but we work with high voltages, we work in extreme conditions, we work with heavy equipment, and we do so safely, but the thing that will probably always be on my mind is the safety of the employees that we have. We have, I've already mentioned all the meetings that we have. We also have quarterly employee meetings at Great River Energy. They occur in 4 different locations throughout North Dakota and Minnesota every quarter. So 4 times a year we have 4 meetings in each location. And I talk with every employee at those meetings. And I end the meetings the same way, every one of them, with a safety message, reminding them that and telling them that there is no budget and there is no project schedule more important than their safety. And if they feel they can't do something in a safe manner, to stop, get a supervisor, call somebody else in and figure out a way to do it safely. And, knock on wood every day, I count my blessings. We have a good safety record, but this is a dangerous business. And we want to make sure as we make changes to the way we operate, that we don't lose sight of the fact that we've got to keep our people safe.
So speaking of the employees, I was reading a report, and it wasn't about cooperatives, it was the electric utility industry, that half the workforce is 40 years and older. And what about talent? What about attracting younger people? I mean, how big an issue is this?
So that's a great question, and it has been a very big issue. For us, over half of our workforce is 50 or over. And for very good reason. Our coal plant, Coal Creek Station, our largest power plant, was built in 1980. A lot of employees who started there in their 20s are now approaching retirement age, and we see that turnover. And it is somewhat difficult attracting people into a workforce that is around coal, because people read newspapers, they watch television, they know that coal's future is very questionable right now. So attracting new people, we tend not to have difficulty getting new people at Coal Creek Station because of our culture. People like to work at Great River Energy. We respect our employees, we pay them well, we treat them well. We believe in a life-work balance. We have a healthy workplace. And we tend to do okay attracting some folks. I'll tell you when it got diciest for us was during the oil boom in North Dakota, which is now kind of petered out a little bit. But during the height of that, it was very difficult to get people to come work 50 miles away at 1/3 the salary that they could get at in the oil fields. That was a real trick. We couldn't even get hotel rooms. We had one, our power plant, Coal Creek Station and Stand Station, are both about 50 miles north of Bismarck. Tell you how the economy just boomed out in North Dakota. And I'm from North Dakota originally, so I can talk about this. We go out there for business all the time, and we couldn't get a hotel room in Bismarck. One of our vice presidents actually had to rent a car and drive to Jamestown. That was the closest hotel room he could find to our power plants, and then drive back the next morning for meetings. And so the oil boom was really something for us in North Dakota.
So, I mean, in this election season that we've just gone through, the economic conditions, economic development in rural Minnesota and elsewhere, was a big issue. So from your position, and you'd mentioned economic development, I mean, what do you see that needs to be done, or what would you like to see that needs to be done that feeds into what you're doing with the cooperatives, but also improves the economic development of some of the rural areas?
Right. In most of the areas that we serve, a lot of the areas that we serve, the electric cooperative is a big engine for economic development.
Big employer, and
we're the largest employer, the largest taxpayer, the largest in a lot of the areas that we serve. And so, we do play our role that way, but it's not enough just to have us do it. I mentioned the programs that we have to build, to start businesses in our service territory, provide them loans. This type of thing, that all helps, but it's tough attracting a lot of economic development in areas that are remote, that are far away from airports, for example. Yeah. Broadband is a huge issue for us. We have one or two of our distribution systems actually involved in building out broadband, because you're not going to have much economic activity in an area that doesn't have broadband. And so, when you think about how co-ops were formed, meeting a need for a necessity back in the 30s, there might be another need for us to get involved in broadband and communicate the communication side of things. Because if you can get that tied in, economic development will be much easier in outstate Minnesota, but that's been a big hurdle for us in some parts of the state.
So when you're meeting with your peers around the country, other electric cooperatives, are there innovations that you're seeing elsewhere that you go, oh, this is something we should pursue, or this is something, let's get some people on this and find out whether this really is working?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really. Not really. I think we're different. We're a different animal, and more are coming around. I will say that more are coming around. They're getting it, and my job's been lonely for the last 5 or 6 years as we've taken on some of the things that we've taken on among my counterparts. But I'm okay being alone, and the results sort of speak for themselves. So I'm pretty pleased. But I think that we are one of the bigger G&Ts among cooperatives. Right, yeah. We're one of the bigger ones in the area, and the nice thing is a lot of folks are looking at things that we're doing and taking that, running with it. The Revolt program, you saw the little video, for example, is a program that we started, but we're making available to any utility, not just other G&Ts, but any utility throughout the country. Anybody that wants to start to use that program, they can do that, because we believe so strongly in the electrification of the transportation segment.
And so do you see solar having a bigger role in, because one of the things that's been really striking is the price of solar has gone down at a rate that was not being predicted. If you could look back 10 years ago, when people were running those charts, and it was coming down, but now it is just.
Not like
So
it
wind
has
has been a big thing, and that's a surprise. But what about solar?
So solar is a great resource, and it has a couple of strikes against it. Unlike wind, the new wind projects that we're involved in today have upwards of a 50% capacity factor, which is just astonishing. The first wind farms we were involved in had a 25-30% capacity factor. 50% capacity factor, you're starting to get into combined cycle capacity factors with that. On the solar front, we have 22 solar installations throughout Minnesota, and we track the capacity at our solar farms, and we're averaging 13% capacity factor of the solar, which is not great. It's about double that in the Southwest, California, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico. So we have somewhat of an uphill battle when it comes to solar. It still has its applications, however, and one of the applications is shifting the peaks, if you will. Solar in the summertime, produced during the day, but our peak is later on in the evening. Storage is a huge issue for us right now, and we are desperately looking for ways to find cost-effective storage. There's no end to the amount of suggested storage ideas that come our way, but they're all very expensive. I think this electric school bus one has isn't that a cool one? Isn't that a cool? If you're a 10-year-old waiting at a bus stop in January, wouldn't you rather be around electric buses than diesel buses? Absolutely. I rode the bus, for years.
Yeah.
You'd rather have that, right?
Yeah.
And so I just think that meets a lot of societal needs, and it's kind of a neat thing. When your utilities are quasi, we do look out for societal wins as well.
Yeah.
And this is one that's pretty exciting for us. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, I could go on, but I've gotten the universal.
You got that too.
I got that too. So
I got it twice. Okay.
So I think we're going to invite our panelists up, and I'm going to shift over here.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.